call the regular board meeting to order. All members of the board are present except ex officio student board members Karkanis, Maurice, and Purba. Ms. Buckinger, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to recess into executive session to discuss current litigation, collective negotiations, and employment matters related to particular persons? Mr. Bullen, Ms. Poulin, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. May I have a motion to return the regular board meeting to public session? Dr. Spicer, Mr. Bullen, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. I call the regular board meeting to order. All board members are present. During the immediately preceding executive session, our board discussed resolutions related to current litigation. May I have a motion on this item? Ms. Poulin.
I move the adoption of the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, in accordance with Policy 6540 and the New York Public Officers Law, and in response to requests from Dr. Darren J. Brown Hall, Superintendent of Schools, Christine Harding, District Medical Director, and Chris McDuffie, Principal of Mill Middle School, received November 26, 2025, we hereby agree to defend and indemnify Dr. Brown Hall, Christine Hardy, and Chris McDuffie in the litigation captioned Doe et al. V. Williamsville Central School District et al. Case number 125CV01196 JLS as presented.
So we have a motion by Ms. Poulin. Is there a second? Mr. Manna, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Good evening and welcome to all in attendance. Please be advised that in the event of a fire emergency and an evacuation should be necessary, an alarm will sound. Please note all marked emergency exits and evacuate well away from the building. At this time, we request that everyone turn their cell phones and other electronic devices to silent. Thank you. We are on item 3. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you for recognition.
Thank you very much, Board President. Each fall, our high schools create incredible productions with their plays. This year at Williamsville East, the actors, actresses, crew members, and directors truly showed their range by sharing the real-life history of Radium Girls. It was absolutely mesmerizing. Please welcome East Principal Jason Swenson, Fall Play Advisor Lisa Lavallo, along with student members of the cast and crew from the Fall Play Radium Girls.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you very much for allowing us to join you this evening to celebrate the amazing work of our East Drama Club. I would like to take a moment to introduce some student members of the cast that joined us this evening. Hopefully I got everybody. Lily Scorzoni, Shami Akinula, Kiara Dolp, Ella Hinklin, Claire Bartholomew, and Anichka Polyak. How'd I do? Did I get everybody? Okay, great. I'd also like to recognize, Mr. McCluskey here, Tom McCluskey, who's joined us as well. Recently, the Drama Club put on a truly amazing performance of Radium Girls. It is a play based on historical events in which female factory workers were exposed to radium poisoning while painting luminous dials on watches in the early 20th century. The cast of Radium Girls was filled with so many talented students, from the performers to the stage crew, stage designers, and the audio-video crew, many of whom are seniors this year. On behalf of East High School, we'd like to thank the Board of Education, Dr. Brown Hall, and the rest of the district administrative team for all of their supports of the arts in our school. And of course, I'd like to congratulate the cast and crew, as well as their advisors, Mrs. Lavallo and Mrs. Mahaney, on a tremendous performance. So with that being said, please enjoy our school spotlight of Radium Girls.
Welcome to Williamsville East's Drama Club production of Radium Girls.
Radium Girls is the true historical retelling of a group of girls in Orange, New Jersey who were dial painters, and they fell ill due to the radium in the paint that they were using, and their legal battle to get compensation for the awful sickness that they gained from it.
Girls, the dials you paint save lives. Our boys in the field depend on them. To read them in the dark, no mistaking what they see.
As Mr. Reader, I play a very morally confused character. He digs himself deeper and deeper as the plot goes on because he's the president of the U.S. Radium Corporation, and he's just trying to preserve the company that he's worked so hard to lead.
Once the judge hears our testimony, he's gonna rule for us. All we gotta do is take one look at us.
Grace Fryer worked at the U.S. Radium Corporations. She found her inner strength to speak out for the other girls in the factory. Grace Fryer has such a historical significance, even though people may not know her name. What she stood for and what she did for workers in that time period was really significant.
Irene?
Irene Rudolph is one of the first to succumb to her injuries from radium poisoning. I think a good thing to remember about this play is it is based on a true story, and the majority of the people in this play are playing real people. Everybody is really able to rise to the challenge, and they work together really well.
They're gonna close down here and move across the river to New York to open up another factory like nothing ever happened.
What are we doing here?
There are some difficult scenes that we really have to dig deep and fully understand because this story is not properly talked about. We have a responsibility to share this story in a way that is respectful.
I didn't know.
You didn't know. You invented the paint and you didn't know? How can you lie like that?
I can't even express how much accomplishment I feel. I feel like the show was so much hard work. There was a lot that had to be done backstage in the booth with mics working and lights and, run crew and ropes just to put it all together at once in front of a crowd. It was really great, and I'm very proud of how it turned out. The end of a production, especially as a senior, gives you a chance to step back and realize it's really not about the production. It's about the bonds that you've formed with the people in the cast, these people that you've been working with for 4 years. And it's really nice to take a step back after this show and be like, I helped to build this wonderful community, and this will keep going after me.
Congratulations. Awesome. We're going to do a quick
Oh, I got it. How much cooler than you?
Are they back on? Okay, awesome. Next, tonight we are recognizing an individual whose hard work, dedication, and perseverance led her to the top of the podium, not once, but twice at the state swim meet in November. Williamsville East, Lauren Golden became the first swimmer in program history to win a state title, claiming the 50 and 100-yard freestyle championships. Not only that, all season long, she rewrote record books across the region. Here is a look at her championship run and impact on the Flames swimming program.
Has to come down to the touch. I can't make a determination who it'll be. Lauren Golden is your New York State champion. Boy, was that close.
Wow.
And it was just by 1/100th of a second.
To be state champion, it feels incredible. It's what I've worked for my whole high school career. It's a goal that a lot of swimmers have, if not all, and to be called a state champion, it's just incredible for me to say that.
And our 50-yard freestyle Pollock High School champion, senior from Williamsville East. All American consideration with a time of 23:21. Congratulations, Lauren Golden.
She is the best swimmer we've ever had come through the program. I've been coaching on this team for 23 years, and I was a part of this team in the 90s. She's the first swimmer I have coached with a state title. She's also the first swimmer that Williamsville East has produced for girls or boys swimming that has achieved a state title.
Wow.
Lauren Golden is going to touch the wall first. Time of 51.29. She is the New York State champion in the 100-yard freestyle.
This year I broke the 2 free, the 50 free, and the 100 free school records, and the 50 free Section 6 record.
Beyond that, she is a part of 22 records that were broken this year, school and pool alike, throughout the whole area. That kind of dominance is just something I've never seen or been a part of.
It's hard to find the words, but it's really cool to know that my name is in the record books. My coaches and my teammates support me immensely, and they're the backbone to my swimming. They make me push myself harder every day and drive me to my goals.
She has helped transform this program into a program where fast swimming is expected. And I think that the legacy that she leaves will endure for many, many high school generations to come. The girls that she's swimming with now, the 8th graders, the freshmen, even the sophomores, they will talk about having practiced with her and trained with her and swum in meets with her for years, decades maybe, when they reminisce on their time here at East. My first hope is that they talk about the friendships and the relationships they built with each other, but I know they're going to be talking about how they got to swim with Lauren Golden as well.
Oh. Right? Coach Miller said that type of dominance. Absolutely. How's that feel, Lauren? Now you can tell people, Google me. So I love it. It's my pleasure to welcome and congratulate two-time state champion Lauren Golden, East Swimming head coach Mr. Chris Miller, and East Athletic Director Miss Melissa Spada. Please come up.
Hello, thank you so much for having us and for celebrating Lauren. This is, girl. This is your moment. You worked hard for it. Thank you so much for acknowledging all of her achievements. I know Nick Filipowski, thank you, and David Morales did a wonderful job in that video, and it doesn't even touch on all the records that this girl has broken. We were joking the other day that Coach Miller misspoke. She actually broke 23 records this year. But that's just this year. If you look at her whole career at East, she has broken numerous records across the section. Like, she is an absolute superstar. But even more than that is her leadership ability and the fact that she's won multiple sportsmanship awards. So she just embodies what we want in athletics in our district, because she's more than just a dominance in the pool, but a dominance in the classroom, a leader in the classroom, and great sportsmanship all around. So we are so proud of you. Swim doesn't always get the acknowledgement being an individual sport that some of our team sports get. So it's great to celebrate her and all of her hard work. So we're so proud of you. Colorado State's going to be very lucky to have you on their team next year. She's going D1. Nice. So congratulations. And thank you to her coaches, Chris Miller, Jessica Shine, and Brooke Pettis for all that you did to coach not just Lauren, but their whole team that was really dominant this whole year.
Absolutely.
People hated going against Williamsville this year. We were a force. So thank you for all that you did as well.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Miller? Okay. Thank you very much. Picture time. Board President, I turn it back over to you.
Wonderful. Are there any board acknowledgements this evening? Ms. Fletch?
I just wanted to congratulate Williamsville Northeast because it's a combined wrestling team. Had their first tournament this Saturday against Roy Hart, and they placed number 1.
Oh, great. Congratulations. Thank you for sharing. Any other board acknowledgements? Dr. Spicer?
I just wanted to commend the PTSA Council's craft show this past weekend. Very comically, December 6th and 7th. You're welcome, everyone. But it is a huge undertaking by volunteers that coordinate it and volunteered during the 2-day event. And it was absolutely wonderful. So if you haven't been, please attend one of the years. But kudos to them for that.
Thank you, Dr. Spicer.
What I just gotta say, it was huge.
It was huge.
We pulled up. My husband said, "What else is going on in these schools?" I'm like, "Nothing. It's the craft show." It is huge. A lot of great stuff too.
Any other board acknowledgements? Okay, thank you, everyone. We are now on item 4A, public expression. I call on Parliamentarian Poulin to review our public expression format.
Welcome to all who have come to observe the regular board meeting. Per policy 1510, the board allows up to 30 minutes for this first public expression period. This is a time when we invite members of our school community to share ideas, opinions, and concerns with us. While we are here to listen carefully, we take your concerns seriously. Public comment is not designed to be a discussion. Therefore, please do not expect us to respond tonight. Instead, you will receive a response by email after our meeting. Because we want to maintain mutual respect and civility, please ensure that comments are delivered in a respectful manner to the board directly. Also, under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments related to employee personnel information or any topic that may disclose information about a particular student. On these matters, we ask that you go through appropriate administrative channels. Please note that individuals are required to sign up prior to our meeting, and each speaker is allotted 3 minutes for comments. You'll be signaled at 2.5 minutes so that you may conclude your remarks. At this time, we'll begin our public comments. After I call on you, please step up to the podium and state your name. Ona Strang.
I didn't see her over there.
I know, she's way back.
Hello, I'm Ona Strang. I'm finally here. So I'm here. Hi, my name's Ona Strang. I wrote this, so I'd read it so I don't get nervous. And it's aptly titled, Why School Board Members Should Not Be Paid. Hi, my name is Ona Strang, and I've been a member of the Williamsville community for over 16 years when we moved here from Ohio in 2009. I've had 2 children graduate from Williamsville Central Schools, and one is currently at North High School in 13th grade, aka a super senior, in the 12-1 classroom there. I'm here tonight to talk about the compensation committee that was voted on. School board service is fundamentally about public trust and civic responsibility, not personal financial gain. Paying board members risks shifting motivation from serving students in the community to seeking compensation. When individuals volunteer, they do so out of a genuine commitment to education, which helps maintain integrity and accountability. I understand school budgets are tight. I believe it was said at a Board of Education meeting in early fall or summer that we needed to be creative with how we budget our money this year as we're waiting on state funding to come out. Every dollar counts. If we spend money on board salaries, that's money we're taking away from classroom teachers and programs that directly benefit students. Our priority should always be putting resources where they matter most and educational opportunities for students. Paying board members could attract people for the wrong reason. Instead of people who truly care about our schools, we might get candidates who see it as a easy paycheck. Volunteer service ensures that those who step up are doing it because they care. Almost all the public school boards and most public committees work without compensation, and they do just fine. I've been an active PTA member for 23 years, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. That goes against all writing rules. Yes, I've been volunteering since my daughter was 6 months old in an early childhood PTA when I lived in Ohio. I've been a scouting leader for over 15 years. I just recently gave the Eagle Oath to a new Eagle Scout as a scouting commissioner, and I had not had a scout in a pack or a troop for over 6 years. I am currently here speaking and not selling popcorn or pizza at the boys varsity basketball stand because I feel so strongly about this. I came here instead of volunteering my time to help others. I can send my volunteer resume to you if you would like, because it goes back 40 years to the first time I sold chili and cookies at my high school in 7th grade to raise funds for something that our school needed. I was trained and learned how to teach ENL to high school students when I was 15 years old. If we are paying people to volunteer, then I may believe I am a billionaire. Look around. Countless school boards operate without pay and do just fine. That tradition reinforces the idea that educational governance is a shared civic duty, not a job. It's a tradition that reinforces the idea that educational governance is a shared responsibility and not a paid job. I will say it again. So here's the bottom line. If you're serving on school board, it should be because you care about students, community, and in our school, not because you care about paychecks. Let's keep the focus where it belongs, on students, not salaries of volunteer positions. And yes, ChatGPT helped me write this because I do not excel at writing. I excel at volunteering and giving back to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Una. And that concludes our public expression for this evening.
Thank you. And please note that we will be discussing the compensation committee later this evening during the president's report that follows our superintendent report. And on that, item 5, Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you for your superintendent's report on items 5A, 5B, 5C, and 5D.
Thank you very much, Board President. We'll start with 5A, which is our community update for December 9th, 2025. I wanted to stress this year we will actually be doing videos for our DEI plan, our strategic plan, and the Portrait of a Graduate. We've established an informational page for Portrait of a Graduate because we want our school community to know exactly what Portrait of a Graduate is and the timeline that's associated with it. So the timeline expanded to include additional information shared by the New York State Education Department on our website. We also have the breakdown of what is included in each phase of implementation. So when you look at the timeline, you'll realize that the students currently in 5th grade, once they get to high school, the entire Portrait of a Graduate will be implemented and new guidelines, requirements will be all at one single diploma for graduation. All those things will be implemented by the time our 5th graders reach high school. So you can look at the timeline on our website. Again, we'll also be doing informational videos this year. That will be part of the superintendent speaker series, so our school community can know exactly what it is. Upcoming presentations. There have been a lot of questions in the district about artificial intelligence and what's allowed in our district, what type of training our teachers are getting in our district. And so I asked our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, our Chief Academic Officer for the district, Dr. Marie Bellin, to have a presentation for the board and our community. And that presentation will be in April. All of the artificial intelligence initiatives in the district do fall under Dr. Bellin. So she and her team will be presenting at the April Board of Education meeting. In addition, I want to make sure we provide our Board of Education and our stakeholders an update on where we are at with our special education implementation of the findings and recommendations from the Western New York Education Service Council. You remember a couple of years ago, the council came and did a 6-month in-depth study of our district and our special education program. That July, the executive director of the Western New York Education Service Council came and shared their findings and their recommendations. So Assistant Superintendent Scanzuzo and his team will be presenting to show our school community how we have implemented the recommendations and what we have on deck for the future. And that presentation will be in May. The Williamsville Wall of Fame nominations can now be submitted for the 2026 Williamsville Wall of Fame. Applications are due by April 13th, 2026, which seems like a long way away. It will come very quickly, and the induction ceremony will take place on November 13th, 2026. So if you know of someone that you feel should be inducted in the Williamsville Wall of Fame, please make sure you review the application and complete it for that person. Speaking of the Wall of Fame, a good way to get candidates for the Wall of Fame is to look at some of our alumni, right? So we have established the Alumni Association in the district for each of our high schools. The individuals at the high schools who are the alumni liaisons are listed here. So at East High School, Miss Deb Mahaney and Michelle Weber, they share the duty. At North High School, it's Mr. Mark Percy. And at South High School, it's Miss Eleanor Gainey. So they are the alumni coordinators in those high schools. The coordinator sent a message out to everyone that's interested in learning more about the Education Foundation and the alumni associations at each of the high schools. You can also still click here for the alumni interest form, and you can submit that through the district website. So if you are an alumni or know someone that's an alumni, please encourage them to actually sign up to be a part of the Williamsville Alumni Association for their specific high school that they graduated from. As Dr. Spicer mentioned, the PTSA Craft Show was a huge success. 21,000 people, 2,100.
Parking was bad.
Because I'm looking ahead at the next line, because they raised more than $20,000 raised by the PTSA Council. And much of that money is used for scholarships. So that's very, very exciting. But 2,100 people attended. And again, as always, every year there are great things to see and buy at the PTSA Craft Show. We thank them for that. And next year, as Executive Director Filipowski reminded me, it is the 50th PTSA Craft Show. Onboard Magazine had a very interesting article that we actually have on the district's website in the internet safety page. The November 10th edition of Onboard Magazine featured the story Online Predators to Blame for Suicides and Sex Trafficking. We want parents and students to be very aware of what is happening on the internet. And this article we found was very informative and important. So we actually have it on our district's website underneath the internet safety page. It includes information on resources and reporting of incidents. Just a reminder, this is the last Board of Education meeting before winter recess. Winter recess will be a total of 2 full weeks. It'll run from December 22nd until January 2nd. So with the last day of school being next Friday, December 19th, it's a total of 16 days students will be out of school. So be sure to rest up, because 2026 will be here before you know it. And we have a lot of great, exciting things in our schools planned. That is a community update. Are any questions from our Board of Education members? Awesome. The next item is item 5B. Item 5B is our staffing projections report for the 2026-2027 school year. Our Human Resources Department, they take into consideration the enrollment report that was presented by Dr. Steve Grossman at the November meeting. They take those enrollment projections and then they align them with our high schools, our middle schools, and our elementary schools to come up with a staffing projection report for the next school year. So looking at those enrollment projection numbers, we look like we will be down 3 full-time equivalent teachers at our elementary schools, up 1 full-time equivalent teacher at our middle schools, and down 1 full-time equivalent teacher at our high schools. And we also, due to enrollment fluctuations, secondary level student course selections, and master scheduling accommodations, it's prudent to include 4.0 FTE positions for unprojected needs. So this entire report is in board docs under item 5B. So we have a net increase of 1 FTE next year. And that report is again in board docs. Any questions about the staffing projections report for 26-27 board members? Awesome. If not, I am going to then ask our acting assistant superintendent for finance and management services. I'm going to pass it over to him for our presentation on the long range financial planning report that is pertinent to the 26-27 school year budget and the 5D annual claims auditor report. Dr. Chris McGinley.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Brownhall, and thank you, board. So this presentation here tonight is simply put together as a starting point and a reference tool for us. While this is a brief presentation, a much more detailed written report is available online. That report covers several topics, including our audit requirements and the methodologies that we used as we prepare for budget planning and to evaluate expenditures. In this annual long-range plan, my goal is to highlight the pressures we face each year. The plan is prepared at a specific point in time, and estimates provided are realistic, not only in the initial year, but for each year throughout the projection. We aim to draw attention to areas of budgetary concern and understand how current budgets influence future budgets through compounding effects. Again, this document is intended as a reference tool to guide our planning as we move forward. When we look at our budget requirements, our board is already familiar with them, but for the community's awareness, it's important to note that on the revenue side, we are legally required to complete the New York State tax cap calculation, which ultimately informs the tax levy for the district. We also know that state aid amounts vary each year, and they're based upon New York State's approved budgets and formulas. Essentially, the total revenues we have each year dictate the total expenses of our budget. On the budget reporting side, these are all required by law: the contingent budget, the budget notice, property tax report card, annual budgeting meeting, mailing of budget materials, the budget vote. And if the budget doesn't pass, we have the option of adopting a contingent budget or conducting a second vote. So looking ahead at the budget facts, on the revenue side, the tax levy represents about 61.15% of the revenue, and state aid is about 28.81%, and sales tax is 5.9%, with all others representing the difference. You can see that the tax levy and state aid together comprise almost 90% of our budget revenues. So we have about 90% of our revenues essentially controlled by the state. On the expenditure side, you're also seeing how salary and benefits make up the majority of our budget. Again, the other areas that we may sometimes go back and take a look at to make reductions in difficult years, they represent a smaller amount of the budget, about 6.25% for buildings and grounds. Bus transportation is about 5.68%, and all others is 12.63%. And it's important to keep in mind that all others includes things such as the supplies that we purchase, contract services, and energy costs. From this, you can see how our budget is laid out. When it comes to financial pressures, in this particular long-range plan, state aid increases are estimated at about 2.25% or 1.1 million on average during the years of this plan. The tax levy is kept at about 3%, staying under the tax cap, with an average annual increase of about $4.7 million. With regard to sales tax, at least at this stage, we're seeing very minimal increases. I also put a note here that we are continuing gradual reductions of our fund balance of about $9 million over the plan. So the average revenue increases is about 5.1 million per year across this plan. Looking at the same pressures on the expenditure side, for salaries and benefits, an average increase of about 4.5% was used for salaries, which is about 5.5 million per year. Benefits are higher at about 3 million per year, and busing at 5% is almost 800,000 per year. Our current transportation contract ends in June 2029, so we'll need to negotiate a new contract starting in the 29-30 school year. We've adjusted that year to reflect this potential increase. Overall, we're looking at an average about $10.2 million in increases per year. What I want to highlight here on this slide is the methodology, so everyone understands how these figures are calculated. I won't go through every number. You can review this in full in the written plan. On the top half of the table, it shows the differences between revenues and expenditures in the plan. Remember that revenues drive the budget, and our revenues are not keeping pace with our expenses. Therefore, reductions are needed each year to balance the budget. This table also illustrates the cumulative effect of those reductions over time. You can also see the projected budget change. In the revenue section below, you'll notice how increased state aid, the tax levy, and other revenues together account for a total revenue change of about 4.9 million in the 26-27 school year. So at a very high level, the key takeaway is that our expenses are outpacing our revenues, which means we will need to make adjustments through reductions. Each year is different, though, with its own requirements, and factors like salary and health insurance costs remain uncertain. So finally, as we reach the summary, it's important to emphasize that increases in state aid remain the most significant factor. They directly influence how much fund balance we may need to use and play a critical role in shaping our next year's budget. While some other revenues, such as sales tax, will increase, and those gains are expected to be modest. On the cost side, we anticipate significant increases in health insurance for the 26-27 budget. Transportation expenses will also continue to rise, especially as we enter a new contract in the final year of this plan. Looking ahead, any expansion of the instructional program, while always a goal, does create a compounding impact on future budgets. Wage increases will continue to put pressures on our finances, especially during economic downturns, as these increases are contractually mandated. Lastly, if we face budget pressures or economic uncertainty, reducing our fund balance will be difficult. We will need to moderate its use to support the budget responsibly and ensure we are making the best financial decisions for the district.
Thank you very much, Dr. McGinley. Any questions, board members, for the long-range plan? Thank you very much, Dr. McGinley.
So the next item is the annual claims auditor report. And as the board knows, school districts are required by law to utilize a claims auditor. So this report isn't anything that we haven't already seen when we get our monthly reports. This is just our annual summary, and I'm just happy to report that there's been no issues with compliance. Everything was fine, and it's really just I want to point out and highlight the hard work of the business office that really does a phenomenal job at ensuring that we remain in compliance with the law.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that also. I turn it back over to board president.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brown Hall. We are now on the president's report, starting with item 6A, events. On November 19th, we held our Conversations with Staff event. And I want to thank everyone again, all board members, for their participation at our December 3rd board retreat. Item 6B, would any student board members like to provide a report on activities at their high school? Giselle Maurice?
Yes, I can
You are
start.
starting?
Yes, thank you. To go off of our last meeting, the Student Council November's Be Good, Do Good campaign, Operation Turkey was a great success. They made 12 total Thanksgiving boxes, with each box holding around 10 or more items for Thanksgiving dinner. And over 1,000 cans and ingredients were collected, so the remainder of the proceeds were donated to local food pantry. And then for our Polar Plunge, we were able to raise $15,000 school-wide, and all the money goes to the Special Olympics athletes, providing training facilities. And we had a lot of students involved, obviously, how much money we raised, so it was a great success. As we also had our gingerbread competition with Student Council for our December Be Good, Do Good Spartans campaign. And that was teams made up of school clubs and friends, made houses on the 5th, and all this money that they paid to represent their team also went towards the Polar Plunge to support the Special Olympics. And now they're on display in our library, and students are able to vote, and the winning team gets Hotspot bucks. And the Hotspot, if you don't know, is our student-run cafe run by our business department. So students completely make everything in there. They make the coffee, the food. They have really good bagels, actually. And it's very popular. So the winning team will get Hotspot bucks. Tomorrow on Thursday, we have our Spectrum concert, which is a holiday-themed concert throughout our whole entire music department. A lot of solos, trios, quartets, and every ensemble is represented. So if you would like to come out, I believe it's 7 p.m. tomorrow on Thursday. The Williamsville North Student Section, also known as the Squall, won 2025 New York State Student Section Champions, according to the International Student Section Report. So right now they're in the nationals process, so I'm not sure how far we'll go, but that's just kind of showing how much school spirit we have. And our student section this year was amazing. And at the playoffs games, we definitely had a lot of people show up. The North Wellness Advisors this month are hosting December Daily Acts of Kindness Challenge to kind of make kindness a daily habit. And today's challenge for December 9th is check in on someone you haven't talked to in a while. We are further connecting to younger grades through a North student volunteer opportunity at High Middle's 7th grade pajama party this Friday. And the pajama party is just a lot of games, activities, and kind of hang out with high school students. So I know a lot of my friends are actually going to volunteer and just connect with some friends and wear pajamas and have fun. And this Friday, we have our annual Connect Life blood drive. And with ECMC being a level 1 trauma center, blood is always a need. And we're fortunate enough that a lot of students do donate. So during the winter, we try to do at least one blood drive. So please be open to donating. It is all day Friday, and I know a lot of people already signed up. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was Giselle Maurice from North High School. And is Salil going next? Salil Koharnis from East High School.
Video. So yeah, I just managed to get some pictures from. I just want to say thank you to Mrs. Weber for providing me with all these pictures, specifically the ones from we had Williamsville East had its senior day of service December 3rd last week. Before that, these were some pictures from our commons that I remember at the beginning of the school year. I talked about how Williamsville East, due to the distraction-free school policy, because students can go on their phone. However, our school has implemented board games, lockout boxes, and all sorts of activities for students to do, so they don't get bored. And then these are some pictures from our day of service where students would go read to kids at Maple East. And this is a graduation requirement for seniors. And as you can see, they're just hanging out, having a fun time. And I believe some students also went to St. Luke's Mission for Mercy to help serve food.
Awesome.
And then here, this is our HOSA field trip where HOSA went to Jacobs Institute of Medicine, where they learned about cardiovascular health and they received information on certain new techniques and new technology that's being developed in the facilities. As you can see, there's also some activities that they performed to just get a better idea of the process, and the students got a tour of the facility. And then this, like Giselle mentioned, we also had Stuco hosted its gingerbread decorating clubhouse contest, which students from different clubs would build gingerbread houses. And then as of now, the clubhouses, they're all outside the main office. Students can come look at them. They all have their names and everything. And you can go online and you can vote for your favorite clubhouse. And as you can see, these are all the designs. Apart from that, this past weekend, Williamsville East Science Olympiad team, they went to invitationals at St. Joe's Academy, and the results came out, and Williamsville East placed first overall.
Awesome.
So congrats to them. As for our winter concerts, our Winterfest concert will be next week, Wednesday, Thursday. I believe 7 p.m. start time. It also features, solos, band, orchestra, chorus, solos, duets, quartets, as students can audition for in ensembles, and then they're spread out throughout the pit. So you'll have performances happening on stage. And the tech crew, they'll feature the lights on a different part of the odd, and that's really a fun interactive experience. And I'd invite everyone to come just experience the show. And they're also going to have a side-by-side assembly with Transit Middle School, which I believe is on next week, Wednesday. And then the ACT is this weekend at Williamsville East, so just good luck to anyone taking it. There was a NHS meeting for juniors from the class of 2027 today, where they learned about the induction process and what all they need to do. Mr. Meyer runs the whole process, so he just delivered the whole informational meeting today. Newspaper Club will also be publishing their 5th issue, which will be a Winterfest special. And they usually do a Williamsville East Torch special. And I believe Miss Charleston Smith was the featured teacher. It's basically they write about the certain staff member, and they just basically give out information about where they were, about where they got into teaching and all that. I think that's about it.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. DSP from South.
I'm going to start out with our student government, which created and distributed appreciation notes for all staff members and honors in honor of Thanksgiving. Then we had our Connect Life blood drive, which is annually hosted, and 50 units were collected, which will actually go towards helping 150 people. Then we have our SAD Club, which stands for Students Against Destructive Decisions. They're having snow notes where students volunteer during their free periods to help sell snow notes outside of the cafeteria in order to help support and grow SAD Club. And our homerooms are having a door decoration competition where the top 3 will be selected and they'll win donuts. Last year, I believe it was just one homeroom and they won breakfast. And the competition is going on right now. Then we have our Winter Spirit Week coming up. December 15th, we have Pajama Day. 16th, we have the Whiteout. And then also on December 16th, we have our Winter Spectacular concert, which is where all the music people come and they participate. I heard the auditorium like fills up, like the whole thing, like during that concert. Yeah. Then Wednesday we have Puffers versus Flannels. Thursday, Holiday Character Day. And then Friday, Sweater Weather. We also held our athletic signing day. A total of 8 students committed to compete at the college level. There's another picture. You can see the audience in there. It's pretty much all students supporting their friends. I thought that was wonderful. And then all of our winter sports started and completed their tryouts. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you all. Thanks to all 3 of you for sharing those reports on all the activities going on at all 3 of your schools. There seems like there's a lot of similar activities going on at each 3 school this season. So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Are there any questions? Okay. We are on item 6C. On November 25th, there was a student board member selection committee meeting. Ms. Poulin, can you please provide an update on that?
I can. We just, with the will of the board, that we review the student selection process for this, because we just got started with our student board members, but now we have to start thinking about adding new ones for next year. So it goes by really quickly. So we got together with the people who had been on the initial committee for developing the selection process, which included Dr. Singh, Dr. Spicer, and Mrs. Blackinger, as well as the principals and counselors from each of the high schools. And we didn't have the same students, but we now have experienced student board members who participated in that committee meeting. And so we reviewed, first of all, just the basic policy procedures. So we felt that there was no need for any changes to what is in board policy. The board policy, which states that students will have to complete a petition obtaining signatures of 4% of their class, their school population, and 2 teachers. The principals will conduct interviews with each of the candidates with a team that they select, and that all students will then vote on the final 3 candidates for the positions. Some of the things that are really about implementation and how things actually work on the ground in the school buildings. And we had a lot of discussion about that in terms of making sure that we were being very consistent from one school to the next. We did talk about when campaigning could start, and we all agreed on that particular date that would not start until all interviews had been conducted and that the students had been identified, the 3 finalist students had been identified. Now, what's going to happen in terms of campaigning and what that looks like from building to building, there were some definite differences in the past. So we did ask the administrators, because those are the people who are responsible for that to get together and to come up with some basic guidelines. Some of the things that we did talk about and agree upon is that there would be no posters in any classrooms. So that would keep classrooms as kind of neutral zones. It would not give the illusion of a teacher endorsing a particular candidate. If posters in classrooms, where they could be in halls and so forth, and how much campaigning each particular student could do. Those will be worked out between the three principals. They're going to get together. They're going to come up with a very distinct plan in writing and submit that back to us as a board just for our information, because this is an implementation area. We did talk about the voting, which happens on the same day that we have the public election. Last year, students voted using their cell phones and electronic devices, which they no longer have access to. So it was decided that all students would be allowed about 5 minutes, maybe the first 5 minutes of their class social studies time. Most all students are taking a social studies class throughout their career, so they will have the opportunity to do that. And a voting station is also going to be placed in the career center at each school that will be open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. for anyone who did not have the opportunity to vote through a social studies class. So anything I missed, group?
I think we're going to have them till 4 o'clock, right?
4 o'clock.
7 to 4.
Yep. Got it? Yeah. All right. I also want to commend my group because I had some technological difficulty and couldn't get in, so I had to actually phone it in, as they say. So Dr. Spicer was very nice to let me know when people were nodding appropriately.
Happy to narrate.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks to all that participated in that group. It sounds like you had a productive discussion, and it sounds like our process, for the most part, is working well. So thank you. Any other comments or questions on that before we move on? Okay, we are now on item 6D. As a recap, at our September meeting, our board approved seeking a legal opinion on board members receiving compensation for their service. At our October meeting, we approved a school board compensation committee to further investigate this topic. And then at our November meeting, we determined the committee's composition. Then on December 2nd, the committee interest forum was posted on our district website, and a related communication was sent to all families and staff. Board members, is there any discussion on this item? Ms. Poulin.
I would just like to make a suggestion. There's an item in this commission that talks about getting legal advice. I would like to really encourage the committee to seek legal advice through the NYSBA attorneys that are available as part of our membership. We have free access to those attorneys that can answer the generic kinds of questions that we'd be looking at this point in time, rather than incur expenses by using our district attorneys.
Mr. Manna?
I think it's a great idea. I just want to make sure that, that we still adhere to the timeline we promised the community, which was meetings starting in January and hopefully some kind of, an answer back in February, because the co-chairs had planned to have one brief conversation with the attorney who gave us the initial opinion, really to lessen the amount of time that the committee members would have to ask questions, that we felt if we had a little more fleshed out answers to her legal opinion, we would actually save time and money by answering those questions. So to use NYSBA as an addition to the attorney that the committee planned on meeting with, who the board authorized to issue that initial legal opinion, I mean, I am all in favor of, if that's your intent.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy for the NYSBA attorneys to give you that information. I think the NYSBA attorneys, when I have used them for various questions, get back to you almost immediately.
I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. that, we have a legal opinion from our attorney that the board authorized to get, and the co-chairs want to discuss with that attorney to flesh out her opinion and to ask questions on that. I don't want to switch one attorney for a different attorney on this. I want the co-chairs to have a discussion initially with the attorney who wrote the opinion. I'm more than happy then to open this up and have NYSBA can contact me, their attorneys can contact the co-chairs, and we can ask further questions. But I think it's important to go by what the committee charter said and to have this initial conversation, again, with the attorney that wrote the initial opinion. So, I mean, are you suggesting, are you asking that we disregard the attorney that the board authorized to write the opinion and do not speak with that attorney and instead speak with only the NYSBA attorney?
I'm suggesting that we avoid any extra expenses on this at this time. As you know, I've spoken from the very beginning that I've not been in favor of this. I'm just trying to protect the district resources.
Well, I
think that it is fair to say to the NYSBA attorney, we have this opinion from our district attorney. We just need to get this fleshed out a little further.
Well, do we know if we can share that opinion, our attorney's opinion, with the NYSBA attorney, or is the opinion that was given to us protected by attorney-client privilege?
The opinion would be protected.
So we would really be asking the NYSBA attorney to kind of start over from day one, which would go back on the board's commitment to the committee on adhering to a timeline. And I understand trying to save money by using, listen, I wish we could farm out all of our legal work to the NYSBA attorneys. Does anybody on the board recall how much we voted to budget for legal fees for this year? Over $600,000. Okay. Now, I read every legal invoice that we are sent. I go through them page by page, how many hours the attorneys are spending on it and what they're doing on behalf of the district. And I wish, when I look at them, I'm like, what a waste of money. I wish NYSBA would come in here with their super attorneys and do all the work for us, but it's just not feasible for this issue and in the timeline that we have.
Mr. Mann,
Yes.
I'm going to jump in.
Sure. Please do. Thank you.
Yes.
Save me from myself.
Happy to jump in right now. So I think it's reasonable to entertain both things in that, Ms. Poulin, I respect the suggestion. I think as long as the NYSBA attorneys can be move at a pace that we need them to move at in response, which sounds like they have in the past. It is a resource that we pay into. I don't see anything wrong with reaching out and seeking an opinion. Thus keeping in mind the bottom line, which is what we always do as a board, all of us. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as it doesn't exacerbate the timeline. With the respect, Mr. Manna, of what you just said, I don't disagree with that either. But if it's a resource that we pay into, I don't see why we can't do that.
Can I interject one thing?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I guess I don't feel like we're talking about hours and hours either, right? I don't, in my opinion, I didn't think it would take.
I envisioned a 30-minute conversation.
I just wanted to set
right
the tone too, because I just want to make sure that the public and people don't think we're talking about.
And I just want to make sure that, we're not talking about torpedoing this committee or hamstringing it by waiting for outside attorneys to then really start over from scratch, because we are relying upon our attorney's opinion that we need specific legislative intent in order to make this happen at all, if it does happen at all. And now we're going to ask what we ask. We're asking our attorney about her opinion. I don't see how we could ask any other attorney about our attorney's opinion. And I understand saving money, but I think there's a difference between trying to save a few dollars and going back on our commitment to the community on keeping a timeline. I am 100% in favor of what I think we should do, I think it's the most fiscally responsible and responsible to the community, is to have the co-chairs have the initial conversation with the attorney who gave us the opinion from which we are relying upon to go continue with this endeavor. And then anything after that, I'd be more than happy to not use our attorney, because we already fleshed out and got our questions answered by our attorney. And then any other further steps, use the NYSBA attorney. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's ours first, and then the NYSBA attorney.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Mr. Bueller.
Can we not ask the attorney, and can we not agree to waive attorney-client privilege that's a bad precedent? You're shaking your head at me.
Oh, I would not do that. And can I just before we go too far, I just want to clarify one thing. I believe what Mr. Manna meant when he said that he reviews the legal bills line by line and says, what a waste of money. Not that we are wasting money that our attorneys are not quality, but some of the things we have to defend against.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
The frivolous lawsuits that launch against this district and these taxpayers, that's what I shake my head and go, oh my God, I can't believe we have to defend this.
Right.
Not because we are getting substandard legal advice or work, or they're charging us an exorbitant amount. It's exactly what Dr. Brownhall said. Frivolous and meritless lawsuits and attacks against this district that the district and its taxpayers are forced to defend. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, okay, I just want further clarification. What is the danger of doing that, of waiving for the opinion? What's the danger of waiving the client privilege there?
When you have attorney-client privilege, that's exactly what it is. I don't know that, number one, we can waive it because it came from our attorney, or number two, I don't know that we want to set the precedent of the board waiving attorney-client privilege.
And
there's a lot of
go ahead.
there's a lot of things that come to this board, and we want to protect attorney-client privilege.
No,
I just want to, if I may, Board
Mr.
President.
Spicer.
Thank you. Whatever it is that we decide here, I just want us to be mindful, Mr. Manna, of just minding the inflammatory language. I don't think the goal is to hamstring.
Sure. Handcuff
The committee. I think the goal is to have the committee. So I would just be mindful that we all have that goal because we voted on that. So let's keep the focus on the how rather than worrying about the committee not serving its function.
Yeah, and just the attorney-client privilege issue, I just as a board member don't want to have the waiving of an attorney-client privilege subject to board approval. I think that just opens the door that we don't want to open. But I guess I'm just still confused on, are we voting? Is there going to be some kind of vote to not talk to, or not allow the co-chairs to talk to the attorney who gave us the initial opinion, and only work with the NYSBA attorney and on their schedule? I mean, is there some kind of vote?
I would suggest, if you want to make a motion, Mr. Mena, that you make a motion to utilize the attorney who provided the opinion for no more than whatever the specified amount of time.
Well, it's in the charter that we can use the district approved attorney, which is the attorney that gave his initial opinion. If you want to set a 2-hour time limit, I make a motion to what the committee is allowed to discuss matters with the district appointed attorney, which would be the attorney that gave us the initial opinion, to no more than 2 hours total.
Can you point out where it says that in the charter?
But I think there's a motion on the table.
There is, I'm
Sure,
sorry.
exactly. Sure.
Is there a second on that motion? Is there, Ms. Bleckinger? Okay, is there any discussion? My discussion point is where the.
Sure. It's under point 3, authority. And the sentence is, additionally, the BOE-CAC may request information from the district attorney or designated law firm of applicable laws,
Okay.
current district policy, and when available, other relevant information. So I made a motion to have the attorney capped at 2 hours
Moving forward.
moving forward.
Okay, and there was a second by Ms. Bleckinger. Is there any further discussion?
The discussion would be further that we will absolutely, if the 2 hours is exhausted, and in conjunction with what the board is doing, contact NYSBA and use their vast resources. I look forward to that. I think it's a great idea, Board Member Poulin, to use them. I never thought of it. I'm glad you brought it up, but I've said enough.
Fletch?
Yes, and just because you're saying a 2-hour limit doesn't mean that we have to do 2 hours.
No.
Like,
Two.
right, we're just gonna say what
I
we,
envision 30 minutes.
right. I just want to make sure.
Dr. Singh?
I mean, I was just wondering, why can't we do both? We can reach out to NYSBA and we can talk to our attorney, get two opinions.
I agree.
I think that's what everyone's in agreement. I think it was just a matter of making sure that the board was in agreement of accessing the attorney for a specified amount of time.
Instead of one or the other,
Yeah, we can.
both. But our attorney first, and then NYSBA if needed. And I'd be happy to. I'm saying the co-chairs will be happy to reach out to them.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Second, is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of capping any further attorney use on the board compensation committee to 2 hours? Oh, motion carried unanimously. Okay,
Thank you for that discussion.
now, is there any other discussion related to the board compensation committee?
Yes, I would like to say a few.
Hold on one second.
sorry,
I
go ahead.
see
Sorry.
DSP.
Yes.
Seeing as the board does want to be compensated, I think something that could help is a public summary of how many hours the board members put in each week or each month and see what that work is and those hours include. I think showing the community like the actual work and the time and the preparation that goes into this role would help build trust and give people a clear understanding of the workload.
Thank you for that comment. I do want to clarify that none of us have voted on providing compensation to board members. At this point, we've only voted to explore it through the compensation committee. I just want to make sure that's clear to everyone.
It's an important, distinct clarification. Yeah, we're not asking for compensation. We're asking a committee to review it. And, it's just, compensating school board members is not a new concept. It's been discussed before. It's been brought by other districts before. Recently, a few districts wanted to bring forward, brought forth a motion. I believe it failed. NYSBA, who's been against this for a long time in any form or fashion. Some school districts wanted to have a tax break, similar to what volunteer firefighters receive. NYSBA turned it down for a lot of reasons. A lot of school board members who live in cities don't own property, don't pay taxes. So it wasn't fair, but for a lot of other reasons. And, we've heard, NYSBA has said publicly, and we've heard publicly that, the concern is, people would run for the wrong reasons or the wrong people will run. People run for a school board for all kinds of reasons. Perhaps it's because they may get compensated. Some may run because they want to impose their particular religious views on the students and want to influence curriculum and what books and clubs students have access to. Some may want to run because they want to impose their political views on the district. When the district stop teaching anything that does not adhere to their own political ideology. But I don't decide if someone's running for the right reason or the wrong reason. And no public speaker decides who is running for the right reason or wrong reason. And no anonymous flamethrower online decides who is running for the right or wrong reasons. Because you know who decides who sits up here? The voters. And I always trust the voters to use their judgment. I have faith in the voters. They make the right decision.
Okay. Other discussion on this topic? Mr. Biscaglia.
Oh my gosh.
I actually agree with what Mr. Manna was just saying in terms of why people run. For example, originally I ran because I'm dedicated to the students first and families second. And those, as an educator myself, that's what matters. We're all here, I believe, working on this board. I believe every single one of us is here for those reasons. I've never seen it different. My worry is I've noticed around the state, particularly in some districts, close to Western New York, is they're actually having write-ins become board members. They are having to actually choose people instead of having the number of board members running. So Williamsville has 9. Some districts, if they had 9, only have 5 people running. Not to say that this would help in other districts, but it's just another way to look at things to get more community involvement. It may not be right. It may be right in some people's eyes. It may be wrong in some people's eyes, but to explore it, I believe that's the reason, to make sure we are having dedicated community members joining school boards or, going out to be elected to school boards and getting more involvement. I'm a teacher. I don't have a boathouse. I don't have I'm not a doctor making heart surgery. I'm not here for the money. I have 3 children in this district. I teach them about volunteering. I myself have volunteered at St. Luke's. I volunteered at my church. But there's reasons people look at things, and I wanted that to be clear. It's not looking at this to fund my boathouses or anything like that, but I just want that to be known for the public and community. There's positives and negatives, but this is just a look at, not, we're deciding to do this.
Mr. Biscaglia, other comments or questions? DSP.
I think if we're just looking at, we're telling the community to look at if board members should be compensated or not. I think a thing the community can look at is how are boards that are paid versus not compensated versus not compensated, how their performance is.
Okay, thank you for that suggestion. Other comments? Ms. Fletch?
I just wanted to add one more thing, that there never once has been a number talked about either. I think that's really important, whether it be $100 or $1,000, a number hasn't been talked about. And to Mike's point, this is not a done deal. This is to explore. So just wanted to share that. And I think we're done.
Well, actually, I have something. I'm so sorry. But
Absolutely not, no.
based on the interest that we've had so far and the number of people that have filled out our interest form, I would like to make a motion. I move to amend the committee charter to increase the number of randomly selected district stakeholders to 8. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Dr. Spicer,
8
second?
from the community, 3 from the PTSA.
Correct. So it would currently we have 3 co-chairs from the board. We have 3 selected by PTSA council, and we had 3 community members that will obviously need to be randomly selected. And I am proposing that we increase that to number 8. So I have a first, I have a second. Is there any?
Yeah, and the question.
discussion?
So we're going to announce that shortly. Do you want to talk about the
If
schedule?
If it were to pass, we can talk about that after that. So I'd like to just stick to this motion, and then we can talk about the details after that.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on this? Dr. Singh?
Why 8?
That's what I came up with.
Conversation. Well, I'll tell you, as one of the co-chairs, I could tell you I'm in favor of this for a lot of reasons. Just to give the public an idea of the interest forms, we had twice as many residents, stakeholders fill out interest forms for the distraction-free school zones as we have for the compensation committee. I think it's about 80 something. My fear is that if we only stay to the original 3 PTSA and 3 from the community, you run the risk of if 3 people can't make it, then we don't have a quorum. So
Repeat that. What did you just, how many people, you said distraction free zone?
I think there was
There was about
160.
There was double the number of people that expressed interest in.
In the distraction. Okay.
Right.
Correct. And I believe there were 15 total committee members on distraction fee, or how many? 19.
Okay.
I just think that we want to, and I'll talk about this after the vote, what the co-chairs kind of have as a mini game plan when we talk about maybe expanding the committee. But I think it's important. There's been interest, it'll be randomly selected, and we don't want to have 3 people not be able to come to a meeting, and then we don't have a quorum, and then kind of, everybody's time that they committed to has kind of been wasted for that night.
Any other comments on that before we vote on this?
I like the number, board president. At least it's not 6-7.
It's still an odd number then, 83. Right?
I'm just trying to lighten up the mood here. Jeez.
That's so.
Maybe that was why. Maybe that was why I decided on 8.
I just had to do it.
All right. I'm sorry, Mr. Biscaglia. All right. All in favor of the motion to increase the number of randomly selected district stakeholders on this committee to 8? Motion carried unanimously. So I believe back to what you had brought up earlier, Mr. Manna, then if it's the will of the board, we can extend the interest form submission deadline to December 17th. So that would be a week from tomorrow. We can send out another communication to the community, ideally tomorrow, letting them know that the number has been increased, so that if that promotes any further interest in community members, they'll still have time to fill out that form. Then I believe we would hope to draw on December 18th and then notify those selected by December 19th. Does that seem agreeable?
Yeah, I think Dr. Spicer was anxious to discuss the Google randomizing numbers.
Yeah. So, so that, transparency builds a high trust environment. So in the interest of that high trust environment, we would like to make sure that it's very clear how folks are chosen for committees. I know there's always a narrative of how folks are chosen. So we talked with our Director Nick Filipowski here about best way to do it. So using I'm going to call it a random number generator. He said something more technical, but folks would be assigned, all folks who filled out the interest form would be assigned a random number. We would use a Google random number generator to choose the committee members. So that would be the process, and we would do that with the board president as committee chairs and Mr. Filipowski. So that.
Thank you so much for that clarification. That helps. Okay, so
I'm sorry, board president, I forgot something.
No worries.
That meeting, we would record that meeting to make it available for the public. I forgot to add that piece.
Perfect. Thank you. So is everyone in agreement? We don't need to take a formal vote on this. Is everyone in agreement to extending the deadline? I see everyone saying yes. So we will move forward with that and getting a communication about that out to the community as soon as possible, hopefully tomorrow. We are moving on to 6E, ECASB, 6F, NISBA, and 6G liaison assignments. They're all in board docs. Are there any comments related to any of those items? Correspondence was received regarding bus stop location, transportation concerns, and potential board member compensation. We are now on consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda items 8 minutes, 9 personnel, 10 business and finance, 11 district facilities and support services, and 12 exceptional education, special needs, and student activities as presented. Ms. Blechinger, Dr. Singh, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. There are no matters to discuss under 13 instruction and 14 legislative matters. 15A, may I have a motion for the second review of policy updates 3271, solicitation of charitable donations, 3290, operation of motor-driven vehicles on district property, 6430, employee political activities, 7513, medication and personal care items, 7557, which is a number change from 7540 on suicide, and 7670, due process, selection and appointment of impartial hearing officers as presented. Dr. Spicer, Mr. Manna, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. May I have a motion to adopt these policy updates? Mr. Manna, Ms. Poulin, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Item 14B, may I have a motion for the first reading of policy updates 5413, procurement uniform grant guidance for federal awards, 5681, school safety plans, and 7522, concussion management as presented. Ms. Bleckenshire, Ms. Fletch, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. And may I have a motion to postpone those same policies for a second reading and adoption at our January meeting? Mr. Bullen, Dr. Spicer, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Item 16, does anyone have a topic to discuss under committee of the whole? Mr. Bullen.
Yes, I just wanted to wish those who celebrate a happy Hanukkah that starts this weekend.
Wonderful. Happy Hanukkah to all those who celebrate. We are now on any other committee of the whole. Okay. We are now on item 17A, our second public expression. If anyone in the audience would like to speak at this time, please step up to the podium.
Is she coming? Oh, okay. Someone's coming up.
They can't.
You speak twice?
Just as a second public expression, if anyone in the audience wishes to do so, the same policies from the first public expression apply to the second expression with the exception to the overall time limit. If you spoke at the first public expression, the topic for the second public expression must be unrelated to your first topic. Please state your name and topic.
Hello, Ona Strang, PTSA.
That's right there. Yeah, okay.
Hi. So I just wanted to say thank you for all the work that the district did for the PTSA Council craft show, for just having us on the podcast and all that. I'm the treasurer, so I get the exciting of doing all the treasury for it. And it is just such a great resource. And I did want to say that I'm super excited for Radium Girls to be here because it's all about seeing what's happening. So it's like super amazing that the cast is here for such a great discussion tonight. And so I just wanted to say, obviously, thank you for having public discussion because I know that's kind of a crazy thing. The second one wasn't here for a while. So just really just thank you for letting the public come to meetings and speak and being available to the public. And again, just for all the help that you guys give the PTSAs here in the district. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? You may step up to the podium at this time. All right, I don't see anyone else approaching the podium. So this concludes our regular board meeting. We hope everyone enjoys the winter recess and has a joyous holiday season and a very happy new year. The next scheduled regular board meeting is January 13th. Is there a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting? Ms. Poulin, Mr. Bullen, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. I need to go to bed. Good night, everyone.